we overcharged the customer by a lot.
Okay.
By a lot.
Like some technical error or?
No, but we just made an insane amount of profit there. We went and gave them some money. Borrowed more money to pay off people and saying that I have committed to you, I will deliver it. I will give it to you. I'll give you your money back.
नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि आप एक बिजनेस शुरू करो और उसमें अगर एक मैसिव सेटबैक आ जाता है, द ट्रक कॉट फायर, पीपल हाउ माइंड प्लेज इट्स ट्रिक्स इज कि यार ये लगता है मेरे लिए है नहीं.
अगर ट्रक खाली भी जा रहा है जाना पड़े. We have an office in Leh.
In Leh, one of the most harshest places.
We had an office in 90s during the war in Kargil. So we was the only company that was having an office supplying to all the Jawans there in the 90s. Everything that happens with Toyota in India, we handle. We had one such situation where we were bringing tires and the truck had a breakdown. The backup truck also had a breakdown.
Oh.
So we airlifted tires at our cost so that the production line doesn't stop. Net result is that in the last 25 years, our stock has delivered a 35% CAGR, CAGR.
35%?
Every year, year on year, year on year, year on year.
I don't know when you got to join the business, or was it the plan as always, or how did it all happen?
Yeah, it started, I joined in 96 after the US education. So,
Okay.
But the business started in 58. My grandfather had started it. So it's been what, 28 years since I joined. 20, so that is, and then of course it was one type of business only. We were doing only basic trucking.
Okay.
After I joined, we changed the complete trajectory and we started doing so many other things. Added new businesses every few years and.
So, I think in general, लोगों को ज़्यादा पता नहीं है that what is this industry about? When you say trucking,
logistics,
even I don't know
chain,
so much about it, but the whole economy runs on it, right?
Exactly.
That's the quote unquote veins as we have in the body to transport, all your channels. So what all it entails. I know that TCS started with one man, one truck, and one office.
Yes, yeah.
That's how we have always read about it. So why trucking? What does it entail? People who are thinking, we need to get into the logistics, India infrastructure, e-commerce is expanding.
Yes.
How can they play a role? So what does it entail?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, trucking. My grandfather, he migrated in 1930s or 40s from Rajasthan because at that point in time he was just there's nothing there. Rajasthan, where we come from, there's just not even water, proper water. So for looking for more opportunities, he migrated to Assam.
Assam, from Rajasthan?
All the way, yes. And there he was actually, he used to be on a bike in a tea garden. In a cycle, not a bike, sorry, a cycle, and go to the market, buy stuff and sell to the tea garden employees. That's how he started a little bit of a trading business. But he was very ambitious and he did not feel this is the kind of work I can do. So he moved to Calcutta, did some odd businesses, finally started a transport company in 1958. Transport because at that time it seemed that India is growing, starting to grow. It's a great opportunity. So he was one man, one office, one truck. And the first truck that he did, he hired, he borrowed money and he hired a truck to take cargo. And amazingly, that truck caught fire.
The only truck that he
hired caught
to start
fire.
The business?
To start the business caught fire. So he borrowed more money to pay off people and saying that I have committed to you, I will deliver it. I will give it to you. I will give you your money back.
Wow.
That cemented his reputation as someone who would not falter in terms of setting up.
मतलब जो commit किया वो deliver करेंगे. करना ही है. What come what may.
At that time he had the audacity. The first truck was from Calcutta to Bombay.
Okay.
But he had the audacity to call the company Transport Corporation of India Limited.
The name was coined then
yeah.
With first leased out truck.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
So the idea is that he had this very big thinking and really visionary thinking about where the country is going at that time, I think there are lots of parallels to today, and what I can do with that.
How can I play a role in this growth story?
Exactly. And from then on, he expanded very, very rapidly, setting up offices everywhere. Then his sons, that is my father's generation, started getting into the business.
When
They
was
started
that?
expanding. They started right away in the 60s. Like my father joined the business, he was like 17 when he
17.
joined. He was going to college, he was going to work, both in Calcutta.
And that was the
This is
trend,
Calcutta.
right? People
the trend,
in
yeah.
business families would have their children join in early, even if they're going to college for their formal education. कि सुबह वहाँ जाओ, शाम को मेरे साथ.
Or plus, dinner table is what? Only conversation about the business.
Business.
And that time, there was of course a lot of struggle, and but he kept expanding. Unfortunately, he passed away in the 80s, early 80s. But at that time, he had cemented his reputation as someone who had really created the industry. Because almost all the documentation, almost all the way that the business was run in the transport. So transport is basically, somebody ये माल यहाँ से लेके जाना है, वहाँ लेके जाना है. आप अगर पूरा एक ट्रक है तो it's a full truckload. If it's you have less than a truckload, it's called less than truckload. And otherwise उस समय बोलते थे उसको ये परचून माल है, मतलब छोटा सा एक पेटी माल है मेरा, एक ये कार्टन है, can you please send it to anywhere in the country.
Right.
So you needed to create a branch network also, because somebody might say, no, I want to send it from Calcutta to Philor. Somebody might say, अच्छा मेरे को जम्मू से I need to send it to Trichapalli.
तो आपको hubs बनाने पड़े.
So we had to make the hubs. He had to make the hubs then. After the 80s, the business slowed down a little bit, but then we did an IPO then in 80s.
In 80s.
Early 80s.
One of the early IPOs, I would
the early
assume.
IPOs, and the only one in our sector.
The only one in your sector.
At that time. And
but before the IPO story, I'm really intrigued. Normally क्या होता है कि आप एक business शुरू करो और उसमें अगर एक massive setback आ जाता है, the truck caught fire. So people, how mind plays its tricks is कि यार ये लगता है मेरे लिए है नहीं. I am getting a sign from the heavens कि you picked up a wrong thing, and this is a sign that I'm giving कि इसमें मत घुसो, ये तुम्हारे लिए नहीं है. But what mindset you have experienced personally, the time you spent with him, sort of pushed him कि नहीं मुझे ये करना है, क्योंकि इस सेटबैक से बड़ा वो कमिटमेंट है जो कि लोग भूल जाते हैं.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend time with him. I was with my grandfather. He passed away when I was only 10 years old.
Okay.
So, but yes, I've heard so many stories about him. There are books written about him.
Okay.
तो मतलब कि वो जो you're absolutely right. I think mind plays a big role in terms of taking setbacks, and उसको लेकर के हम उसको बहुत ज़्यादा exponentially सोचने लग जाते हैं कि भाई ये तो हमारे लिए है नहीं. But I think that was the courage of people, of men at that time, and even today there are people who take these risks based on certain idea that नहीं, there is a strong conviction, नहीं हो सकता है, ये हो जाएगा. And of course today you have to base it with facts and data. आप अंधाधुन काम नहीं कर सकते हो. You have to have some plan around it. The market is definitely, in any business that we do, is very mature. So you can't just go crazy about कि नहीं हो जाएगा सब कुछ.
मतलब उसको लक पे you can't just leave it on eventuality. You need to have a process and plan. Of course, there's a vision, and then trickle that down into steps and process.
I think that same applied to some of the new businesses we started subsequently.
Okay.
All of those businesses had a proper business plan. We had failures there also.
Okay.
But that didn't stop us.
But you had the conviction to
run it. Yes.
Go ahead with it.
Like for example, in the 90s, we started an express parcel business. Express का मतलब होता है कि this is very fast delivery. This is packages, and they will reach to you in a committed time. Otherwise, money back.
Otherwise, money back.
Money back. Yeah.
Okay.
So that time, the trucks had to run on a specific route. For example, if there's a material that's come from Gurgaon and it needs to go to, let's say, Kolhapur. It will go from Gurgaon to a hub in NCR. From NCR, it will go to a hub in Pune. And from Pune, it will go to Kolhapur. Now, all these things have to be operational, which meant that अगर ट्रक खाली भी जा रहा है तो जाना पड़ेगा, because उसमें आपका the material has to reach Kolhapur in the 4th day that we have promised, or the 5th day.
That would mean a lot of cost
and losses.
Yeah.
So, and of course, जब आप
till you build a capacity that every time the trucks are full.
Yeah. And that has to be a pan India. Because the guy who's sitting in Gurgaon says, I have something for Kolhapur, I have something for Bihar, Patna, I have something for
Nagpur,
Trichy, I have something. So you have to have a pan India network from day zero.
Isn't it a mind-boggling, permutation, combination, logistic arrangement that has to go? I mean, is it done manually, or is there algorithms that sort of give you that this is how you need to do it?
In the past, there were nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In the past, but as a company, we in the 70s we got IBM punching card machines.
In the 70s?
Yeah, 70s, late 70s and all, because we really fundamentally believed in technology. So we used to have rooms with the IBM card machine, the punching card machines to do computations.
Wow.
And
I don't think anybody would have outside of the government.
No, there were some private companies, but very little.
Very little. Like you can count them.
Yeah, we had a guy who was the head of MIS in the 80s. 70s.
In the 80s? Wow.
So his job was only to crunch data, literally.
Wow.
Who we call as data scientists today.
Today, yeah.
So some of that got evolved. The routes got evolved, the methodology of how to reach out to these places. And then the branch network is also expanding. So we reached out to, we now have 1,400 offices around the country. From every small city, town in the country, we have an office. We have an office in Leh.
In Leh, one of the most harshest places.
We had an office in 90s during the war in Kargil. So we were the only company that was having an office supplying to all the Jawans there in the 90s. We have an office in Andamans. So every part of the country is connected through our network. So just on that story itself, the conviction that the express business has to will be successful and profitable was part of a business plan. And that business plan was that yes, today I'm getting only these trucks are running empty. लेकिन जा करके हमें मालूम है कि हम ऐसे selling करेंगे, ऐसे ये grow करेंगे, and we are going to make them full and be profitable. We will lose money for 2 years, but we will be profitable.
So, in nutshell, you're saying कि you knew that there is a need and a demand for it.
Yes.
And you knew that you have resources and capabilities to service that need and demand.
Yes.
And what was left was to find out the most efficient way, while you meet the demand and make a reasonable profit and not burn the cost. So, and I think that's
right. Exactly.
that's the approach that you've taken for all new businesses.
Exactly. And there's another business. I mean, I can talk about it now. We had formed a joint venture with a Japanese company.
Mitsui.
With Mitsui.
Yeah.
To handle the logistics of Toyota in India.
Handle the logistics of Toyota in India? Like whatever
everything that happens with Toyota in India, we handle.
So you bring it up from wherever it is and to the Toyota factories?
Correct. So this was a joint venture in 1997. The Japanese approached me and approached our company, said, look, we are desirous of making a joint venture in India about logistics, doing logistics. I said, plant कब खुल रहा है आपका? 1999 में खुल रहा है. I said, अभी 2 साल बाकी है, अभी why are you talking about...
They came in 97.
97, why are you talking about supply chain and logistics?
Yeah.
And this is what we learned as a company also is planning. They love to plan, and 60% of the time is spent on planning, 40% on execution. Whereas otherwise we spend 40% time on planning and 60% on execution.
In fact, maybe lesser, 20%.
Maybe lesser on planning also.
Yeah.
But that was a mindset shift. That नहीं आपको अगर कुछ चीज़ अच्छा बड़ा करना है और बहुत carefully करना है and very very precise, you really need to put in planning.
So foundational planning पे emphasis
was massive.
Was a massive takeaway
we did
from
study tours 1998. Actually, I was 23 years old and 24 years old. My father entrusted me to go and say, you go and negotiate with them.
Okay.
and you form the joint venture. So I signed the joint venture when I was 23, 24 years old.
Wow.
And we started operations in 1999. There was no GPS. Please remember.
Yeah.
And
You don't know where the truck is.
we don't know the truck is. We don't know.
पहुंचेगा नहीं पहुंचेगा, एक्सीडेंट है नहीं है, माल ठीक है नहीं है.
And Toyota wanted everything just in time. So we had a discussion with them. Say, अच्छा हाँ just in time we understand. वो ट्रक आ जाएगा 4 घंटा पहले, वो वेट कर लेगा, जब आपको प्रोडक्शन में चाहिएगा we'll bring the truck in. They said no, that's not just in time.
Oh.
Just in time means that within 1 hour of our requirement the truck should reach only. Otherwise it's cost of inventory on the wheels.
Yeah.
So we micro planned the routes. We had backup of each truck available, so that the truck, if there's a failure, we have another one that is ready. And we had one such situation where we were bringing tires and the truck had a breakdown. The backup truck also had a breakdown.
Oh.
So we airlifted tires at our cost so that the production line does not stop.
Wow. Airlifted. That'll be like 10x cost.
Whatever was the cost. Yes.
I'm sure.
एंड वो ही कंपनी जब स्टार्ट हुई थी ना, हमने प्लानिंग उसका जितना प्लानिंग किया तभी भी देयर वर सम एरर्स इन आवर बिजनेस प्लान एंड वी स्टार्टेड लूजिंग मनी एंड वी लॉस्ट सो मच मनी दैट वी वर ऑलमोस्ट एट द बैंकरप्ट स्टेज ऑफ क्लोजिंग द कंपनी. So I went to Japan. I spent a lot of time with them and said, look, we need to change the pricing. We need to change some of this strategy. Fortunately, everyone agreed. And now it's a very, very successful company. So it's a 1,000 crore company. And we celebrated 25 years, one of the oldest Japanese-Indian joint ventures in India. And the only one in logistics.
And the only one?
Yeah, only one in logistics in India.
And how long and old is this relationship?
Today, 25 years, this year.
25 years?
Yeah. Wow. So this was another experience that, like my grandfather, I think the conviction that the businesses need to be really, really, if you have a conviction, then you can really grow any business. You can create any business.
And, for a business like this, and I believe you have employees in thousands and thousands, like I think 3,000-4,000
yes.
employees are there all over the 1,400 offices that you have. And they are not the sharpest cookies in the market. You're dealing with a driver, you're dealing with a helper, you're dealing with a clerk, who's just punching bills and invoices and, gate passes. How do you keep it all together? Because, I mean, in modern world, it's easy to do HRBP and, great amount of engagement and excitement. How do you keep them excited? And they're completely distributed.
Yeah. We have about 4,400 employees, about 4,500 employees on the payroll. But almost 15,000 outsourced.
15,000.
So any given time, about 20,000 people working in the force today. And you're absolutely right, very distributed. कोई फैक्ट्री नहीं है कि भाई 1,000 आदमी एक जगह बैठे
कि आप वहाँ कल्चर करा दो और एक फैक्ट्री हेड है वो सब देख रहा है.
वैसा नहीं है. तो that is the challenge, and that also makes it very exciting.
So you need micro leaderships. What do you need?
So it is a very distributed structure.
Okay.
Very decentralized. Decision making is left at the lowest levels also for certain types of decisions. Certain things are at the top, but the most important glue out of all of this is a value system. Our value system is something called CORE, C-O-R-E, customer focus, ownership, responsiveness, empathy. ये जो glue है कि we are thinking about the customer first at all times. That
ये नीचे last आदमी को पता है.
सब आदमी को पता है. सबको A to Z.
मतलब जैसे normally companies में क्या होता है, you join the corporate office, you go through a onboarding, induction, orientation program, and then you get a feeler and flavor कि इस कंपनी का कल्चर क्या है. बट 1400 लोकेशन में हर आदमी को आप यहाँ भी नहीं ला सकते.
नहीं.
या अपने रीजनल ऑफिस में भी लाना मुश्किल है.
हमारे पास अकेडमीज है.
अच्छा. Academies है.
हाँ, so we have our own TCI academies where we have kids who जो हमारे we take recruit from two levels. One is at the lowest level from villages.
Okay.
गाँवों से हम लेके आते हैं. We put them to a training program and then they enter the base level.
Okay.
The second is about 100 MBAs and postgrads. We recruit at that level.
Okay.
But 97-98% of our requirements are fulfilled internally.
Internally.
हम बाहर से बहुत only technical people, let's say IT or others we take. Otherwise, everything is fulfilled.
Grown up from, मतलब वो village candidate became experienced.
Can go up to be the CEO. We have
the village fellow all the way up to CEO.
Two CEOs who have started at that lowest level.
Wow.
And they've been in the company for more than 30 years. We have the lowest attrition in our industry because of that value system.
Because at that level, I'm sure they're at a very small salary levels also. Yeah. And let's say if somebody is at a 15-20 grand, a jump of 1,000 to 1,000 will be lucrative. Why are they not jumping? I mean, I'm sure there are many businesses, small time, everywhere.
I think the reason is that we are giving them a path of growth. We are showing them आप जा सकते हो आगे. And वो path सिर्फ बताने से नहीं होता है.
वो लोगों को देख रहे हैं.
लोगों को देख रहे हैं.
कि ये यहाँ आया था कहाँ पहुँच गया.
So they know that there is really no glass ceiling. They know that yes, I can be there, and that aspiration drives them. Plus, we are a very very fair company. We are not a company. अगर किसी को कोई problem है, they can write to the MD directly without a, and it will be addressed within 24 hours. So the culture is such. The culture that it's a family. We are in a family together, and family. I hear a lot of our some of our colleagues in the industry talk about family culture, but you have to walk the talk when it comes to family culture.
You really mean it.
You have to mean it. कोई problem है या सुख दुख के time में you're there with everyone, and that is what has permeated entirely in the organization throughout. And so that it started with my grandfather, and then my father, and then I am able to take up some of that legacy forward.
So anything that you recall where this family value system really come to the forefront, like somebody reached out to you with some exceptional ask or a request that typically a family member would have, and then you went out of the way because you wanted to genuinely help and believe that there's a genuine concern, and B, you wanted to send out the message that if you are in trouble, I am the one whom you can rely on.
Akash, this happens very
very
daily.
Often. Okay.
Literally. Today, if you sit in a family, घर में सबको कुछ ना कुछ problem रहता ही है. And you are talking to your father, mother about it, you're talking to someone else about it. It is happening daily, and it permeated in the organization that it's part of our culture. If I tell you 1-2 incidences, that has no value. Because
but something that has stayed with you, like one of the initial ones.
Everything, I have instances where I'm sitting with my father and somebody wants to meet him and before the person comes in, my father says he's going to talk about this problem.
This problem, he knew. Okay.
Because it's just, you can see it in people's faces. आप घर पे हो, you can see it in people's faces that what is he or she struggling with. Same thing. So unfortunately, I don't have the wherewithal to go to every branch, लेकिन it comes up.
There is a system to trickle that down, and
yes.
they have open policy.
And during COVID, the policies we have for if someone passes away, then we have more than we have a benevolent fund that is there.
Okay.
We have the highest amount of reimbursement that happens. We have the health policies are amongst the best. All this engagements that people talk about today, we've been doing since 80s, 70s, 80s.
Wow.
We had a HR head in 70s, 80s. I mean, people started to create this culture much later. So many of our successes, I think all of our successes, not many, is attributed to people. The other big factor in people is trust. I think this is part of our family belief also, that till you don't trust someone, आप grow नहीं कर सकते. 90s में when I got into the business, and then subsequently we started creating. We had just one business, which was the freight business, basic business.
The trucking freight
business. फिर उसके बाद we started express supply chain. We formed this joint venture with Japanese. We formed another joint venture, and we started a shipping business. We have our own ships. We realized that अगर हमें grow करना है तो each of these businesses have to be headed by CEOs. So we let go of everything that we were doing and trusted completely to CEOs and the heads of departments who are running these businesses.
To give them that opportunity and autonomy.
Can you believe in 90s we stopped signing checks?
In 90s?
Yeah. So as family members, we stopped signing checks. Wow. Because we believe that if I'm trusting this person fully, I trust him fully. Why do I need to even think about signing checks? Even my own personal checks are signed in advance and given to my accountant. Abhi to of course RTGS ka time aa gaya, but then also it is still given to. So it's implicit trust, but you know there's checks and balances. Any large company has checks and balances. But it's the fundamental belief that if you don't trust, you're not able. You'll never grow. आप business plan बना लो. आप have all the conviction in the world that you have, but if you don't have the right people and you don't empower them with the factor of trust, the highest level of trust, you'll not be able to grow. There will be instances when people will betray that trust, certainly. But I have a fundamental belief that 99.9% of people are good. We cannot base our lives on the fact that nahi sab
chor hain. Nobody knows that, and we only have to do it. In fact, this is a very important point you're mentioning, because most of the small businesses who are in that 30, 40, 50 crore to 60 crore kind of level, they get really stuck because it is so hard to let go and trust the executive or the person in the company to take the right and responsible decisions. And as a process, in the process, you become the bottleneck, because everything is coming to you. आप check भी आप sign कर रहे हो, decision भी आप कर रहे हो, sites पे भी आप जा रहे हो, सारे design पे initial भी आप कर रहे हो, तो then बाकी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? वो तो सिर्फ हाँ बोल रहे हैं क्योंकि सारे decision आपके पास हैं. So ये जो एक mindset shift है to let go. So how did it come into the culture, and from your experience, how can people let go without the fear that it's going to destroy the business?
For every stage of your entrepreneurial journey, the company needs to be different. वो same चीज़ आप जब आपने start किया था, वो same चीज़ आगे नहीं चल सकती है.
Correct.
So maybe up to 50 crores, there has to be a certain mindset and certain type of growth. Between 50 to let's say 200 crores, you have to have a certain mindset.
And लोग ये कई बार कहते हैं कि आपकी इंडस्ट्री में ऐसा होता होगा, हमारी इंडस्ट्री डिफरेंट है. It's across.
It's across. I've spoken to many of my friends in many industries. They say it's the same. फिर आपको जो अगर एक लीप लेना है, if you see a lot of companies are stuck in this 100 to 200 crore bracket also.
Yes.
वो लीप लेने के लिए again it's a dramatic shift. Dramatic shift in mindset. You move from to IT systems dramatically. पर अगर आप manufacturing में है तो production systems are set up that time. Your procurement systems are set up. Your supply chain is set up. And then you take that next leap to between the 200 to 500-600 crores. 500-600 से आपको 1000 जाने के लिए again it's a really big mindset.
It's another significant mind shift change.
You professionalize a lot more. You add more dimensions of corporate governance. You add people advisors who are like board of directors and others, so that you are able to think beyond what you can think.
Bring smarter people, experienced people.
Yeah. So I always think that I know everything. That's the mindset you have to change. So another philosophy that
just because you started, it doesn't mean that you know everything.
हमें सब कुछ मालूम है. Learning mindset can never stop. As an individual, first अगर आप as an individual you have to change, then only can you make your company change.
True.
That you have to unlearn what you were learning. You have learned so far. And you have to then subsequently have a mindset that मुझे कुछ नहीं पता. Ask dumb questions. I mean, today also I ask dumb questions to my colleagues कि अच्छा ये क्या है, and but that's the way you learn.
Yeah.
So then that mindset shift from 500 to get to 1,000 crores is massive. Uske baad then there's another mindset shift completely. So it is at every stage you have to start thinking about the next stage also if you want to have that aspiration to grow. Because it will not, otherwise you will be still stuck in a band जहाँ आपको आप सोच रहे हो कि मैं सब कुछ सही कर रहा हूँ but क्यों नहीं आगे बढ़ रहा हूँ.
लोग अटके हुए हैं बिल्कुल. That हर साल वो 120 crore, अगले साल 122, and they're like stuck, and they're stressing on profit. Then instead of growing and innovating, they start cutting cost.
Yeah.
Just to maintain that profitability or their lifestyle that they want to maintain.
The other factor is also, मेरा goal है क्या? Is my goal to be the most largest, biggest?
Okay.
Is my goal to be the most profitable? Is my goal to be the most admired company?
And तीनों के लिए अलग process है.
तीनों के लिए अलग चीज़ है. So, like our goal is not to be the largest. Our goal is to be the most admired company. So, what do our employees think about us? What do our customers think about us? So, like our NPS scores are in the 70s.
That is exceptional.
Our employee satisfaction rate is not just the highest in our industry, but highest amongst all industries. And then the net result क्या है उसके बाद? The net result is that in the last 25 years, our stock has delivered a 35% CAGR, CAGR.
35%?
Every year, year on year, year on year, year on year.
Wow.
For 25 years. Because that's the output.
Yeah.
हम output की तरफ नहीं focus कर रहे. हमारा goal है to be the most admired company. Not the goal is not the stock price. All of
Chunki
these
you
things,
are doing actions to become an admired company, the outcomes of that effort shows up in the market.
Elsewhere in
And brand and everywhere and getting good
stakeholders,
talent.
everyone. We, with our suppliers and vendors, we say we are the fair company. With the market knows us that we are a conservative company. We don't talk कि भाई हम इतना बड़ा कर देंगे, ये कर देंगे, नहीं. We talk very rational stuff.
इतना है, इतना ही करेंगे.
हाँ. So again, आप कोई भी स्टेज पे है, आपका गोल क्लियर होना चाहिए. If I'm right now, your goal could be this, and it could change also. ऐसा नहीं है कि it has to be set in stone.
हर स्टेज के लिए गोल होता है, and then that also goes through an evolution.
Strategy can never be set in stone. Strategy has to be dynamic. Value systems have to be set in stone.
Your principles, your value systems, they shouldn't deter. Maybe you may add on to it as you go along with the time, but your strategy has to evolve as we go along.
In the 80s, 70s, 80s also, my father tells me these stories. There were opportunities of doing businesses what a lot of other companies did. That कि अच्छा हम without documentation काम कर सकते हैं, which is like not the legal part of doing business.
Right.
And his colleagues, the regional managers, everyone told him that नहीं, अगर हम नहीं करेंगे तो कंपनी नहीं चलेगी.
काम नहीं आएगा.
काम नहीं आएगा, काम बंद हो जाएगा.
सब लोग कर रहे हैं, कर लेते हैं हम भी.
My father said, बंद कर देते. Let's shut the company because this is not our principle. We will not do it. I think many times when we are faced with those decisions today, I think about those times, and it's very clear to me that अगर हम principally नहीं करेंगे तो हम काम नहीं करेंगे. Let's shut it. तो वो principles को आप कोई भी stage पे उसको मत change करो. Strategy को change करते रहो. Business principles के आसपास goal को change करते रहो. Because that goal, today's growth, tomorrow is high profitability. And third day is I want to be the
maybe
most
transformation into a digital era. Something. Like what could be a as
you can pivot. You can do anything that you want to.
But India की जो growth story रही, it's still a big market and you continue to grow here. So why was the need to go international? I mean, there was a massive growth that happened for TCI globally. So was it the customer who wanted, we believe in you, can you go with us to other countries, or you thought that there is another unmet demand that you can serve?
We are not really global.
Okay.
We have very limited offices overseas.
Okay.
Nepal, Bangladesh, UAE, and slowly adding 1 or 2 more countries in the next few years. It's follow the customer strategy. Aapne what you said कि customer बोल रहा है यहाँ जाओ, we are going there. Today we offer a seamless service to Bangladesh because we have a company there. अब आप कोई भी कार्गो बांग्लादेश भेजते हो तो आपको आपके ट्रक्स इंडिया ट्रक से उसको शिफ्ट करना पड़ेगा टू अ बांग्लादेशी ट्रक. Now that logistics locally we can do it very easily because we have our own company. So this is just making it easier. But we fundamentally 99% of our revenue still come from India. And we fundamentally believe that we have not even touched a small portion of the market. We today move 2%, 2.5% of India's GDP by value of cargo every year.
2.5% of India's GDP.
हाँ.
I mean,
cargo
transacts
का value
through.
हम move करते हैं. मतलब कि.
That's the cargo you move.
Every year.
Every year.
So, which is, we are doing more, let's say, automobiles or high value goods. We don't do so much commodity. But इतना value हम already move कर रहे हैं अपने system से. So, potential is massive India में. So, we do cold chain logistics. We have our own ships. We are doing chemical logistics. We are doing defense logistics. Any scope of doing things is massive. Or what you are saying in terms of growth opportunity. I think the next 10 years, 15 years in India are the golden periods.
Because of the focus on infra manufacturing that is coming. Exactly. And of course, all of that would need movement and D2C, e-commerce.
Consumer trends are changing. Demand for manufacturing is changing, not just from India perspective, but also the China Plus One strategy. Plus, international companies are looking to India. To come here to just make but also to sell in India. Then there is the infrastructure growth that's happening. That's promoting logistics also, but also business. Infrastructure has a 3.5x kind of impact on the economy. Then you have policies have changed. It's easier to do business. At lower level, thoda complexity hai. Sab jagah complexity hai. But that is still relatively easier जो 70s, 80s, 90s. 2000s में मैंने जो देखा है बिजनेस में, it's far easier today. Challenges are there still, and I don't think that challenges कोई आप वेस्टर्न कंट्री में चले जाइए, वहाँ भी है challenges. तो it doesn't the potential for us to grow as a nation is just phenomenal.
But with this whole movement of e-commerce, D2C, how has your business, what changes has your business seen? I mean, the whole e-commerce runs on logistics.
Yes.
And when I talk about logistics, of course, there is, trucking and express and, but then there is a whole, emphasis and business around packaging, safety, packaging, unboxing, designing, all of that. So, are you guys also into it, or you have, you rely on how the customer gives it, or you ideate with them?
So, consumer trends, we saw that pre-COVID things had started, but accelerated during COVID with things like e-commerce deliveries, omni-channel basically.
Yeah.
You're getting home deliveries also, and you're going to a shopping center also, which means
Correct.
Supply chains at the back end had to change. If there is someone who's let's say a shirt manufacturer, now that shirt manufacturer is sending to a store is also sending to the warehouse of the Amazons and the Flipkarts of the world. अब वहाँ भी आपका channel है, that's another new channel that I have to supply. So your logistics has changed. We do manage the warehouses for many of these e-commerce guys. So in that warehouse, we do complete order picking, packing, invoicing. So orders will come, let's say 50,000 orders will come in a day in a warehouse. We have to pick the exact order. ये shirt है, ये color है, ये size है. Pick it, pack it, invoice it, keep it ready for dispatch. Now dispatch could be any person. The last mile delivery person, कोई भी हो सकता है उसको delivery करने के लिए. But to manage this complexity, we had to build a lot of lot of internally we had to think about how to do it, because you're literally going to Six Sigma level of efficiency and quality very, very fast.
Yeah.
So training and continuous training, people management, skills development were just very, very huge. Then subsequently we are now seeing the new changes with quick commerce.
Which is the recent and the latest buzz
trend
and
in
the
last
trend.
1 year. So then we are seeing that some of these fulfillment centers are not supplying directly to the consumer, but they're supplying to a dark store in the middle. तो वो dark stores पे जाता है, and the dark stores are basically the next supply. So we are now supplying to the dark stores also. So we had to change a lot of things. We do the packaging, we do all of this complexity management. Apart from that, what we've also seen that consumer trends have changed even in food, which we know. We're getting home deliveries. We are seeing that the back end of that. Now, if I'm a person who makes a company that makes आटा और दाल, मेरे को अभी जो सप्लाई करना है वो चैनल्स भी चेंज हो गए मेरे. Because we are ordering out so much. We are buying food and eating out so much. जो पहले घर पे खाना बनता था वो बहुत कम हो गया.
Correct.
और in fact in countries like China, they are making homes without kitchens.
Without kitchens.
Because if everyone is going to eat out,
Why have
kitchen
that?
के लिए हम जगह क्यों छोड़े अलग से? एक माइक्रोवेव रख दिया, एक फ्रिज
Just to heat it up.
That's it. So these are dramatic changes that are happening. The next level of changes we are going to see in EV, for example.
Yeah.
With EV proliferation, we will see that if I'm in a building, I need to have chargers everywhere.
Correct.
No building is equipped today to do that.
Yeah.
So consumer trends in every aspect of supply chain, every aspect of change will have an impact on supply chains also.
So when you get these consumer trends and patterns, who are those people who, bring the ground reality to your ears and eyes? And how does the whole decision making in the company and within the leadership happens? Like, हाँ ये trend आया कर दो. Yeah, okay, give me time, give me analysis, let me talk to the family, let me talk to the board. How does this, for you has evolved?
So for us, it is very different. Firstly, our customers teach us the most. So हम customer के पास continuously जाते हैं, every level. I go and visit maybe 75 customers a year. Though I have no direct involvement in any pricing in any division in any company, but I go there to understand what is the consumer saying.
So that you can connect the dots at your level.
At one level. But if there is a business opportunity that has come and there's a contract that has come, the CEO of that business or the regional head is empowered to do that. We don't need to go to the board and talk about it. If it's a very large investment...
Let's say new business, like you went into warehousing or, shipping for that matter. So how do those decisions happen?
Some of those have to evolve with the trends, and we have to strategize. We have to make business plans, proper business plans, test out those plans, and then take it to the board for the investments. But अगर general है, अगर ये quick commerce का कोई trend आ रहा है, let's experiment with something, let's do it, no problem. Let's see how it goes. We allow failures. If we fail in an account, no problem. But learn from that. Try to see what are the mistakes we made. But a broader, if it's a very, very strategic entry into one particular area, let's say we are today working on one specific area, which has grown quite a lot, but we feel that there is a potential growth opportunity from a cross-border perspective. मतलब उस particular product and उस particular industry के लिए global market is very large, and that market is touching India now. So we are saying that अच्छा इसको हम grow नहीं कर पाएंगे. Let us form a joint venture. So now we are going ahead and figuring out how do we form a joint venture. उसके लिए business plan बन रहा है. To see today that business is at 200 crores, can I take it to 1,000 crores in the next 4 years, 5 years? If I can take it to 1,000 crores, उसके लिए business plan कैसे होगा? उसके लिए हमें कौन सा partner चाहिएगा? किस country में जाना पड़ेगा? That's a very big strategic decision. That is what will probably come to what we have a strategic committee. पहले हम strategic committee में decide करते हैं, which is the CEOs and the head of departments, etc. Then I will take it to the board and we will seek the board's understanding on it.
So from ideation to business plan to actually on the ground execution of business. So typically, how much time has it taken?
It can take long. We are not fast.
Okay. Long means?
It can be 3 years, 4 years.
3 years, 4 years into the brewing of that idea?
Yes. Because you're testing the idea on a continuous basis. So,
and once you've got a signal, so do you still go small or then you go big?
We do not think in our logistics. First entry is the big advantage. We can enter
go capture the market.
We can enter at any time and still grow. Because of what is our value proposition. We have never been the first entrant in many businesses that we are in.
But you have superseded most of the...
We're in the top 3 in all businesses. Few years ago, we started I think about 10 years ago, we started a cold chain business. And dormant tha, धीरे-धीरे चल रहा था. We kept on testing the business. कैसे grow होगा. It went through a lot of churns. The industry went through a lot of churns. Post-COVID, we saw cold chain is going to pick up. Pharmaceuticals, vaccines, growth is massive. QSR, food, we are all eating out. Chemicals need cold chain now. Batteries need cold chain. Beauty
Even
products.
Batteries need cold chain. I didn't know
Some
that.
batteries need cold chain.
Okay.
So we realized that the potential to grow now is massive. We formed a joint venture with a Japanese company again.
Okay.
Because they were bringing in
What's
customers.
the love with Japanese?
We learned a lot from them.
Yeah. But have you found them to be like always, above the curve and, very...
From it comes to systems, processes and...
no one can beat them.
उसमें जो companies के साथ आप deal करते हो, our partners are also very similar in our value system, which is long-term thinking, people dependent. So that works well. Transparent. Transparency is very critical in any JVs. आप कोई भी, चाहे आप JV कर रहे हो, चाहे आप किसी के साथ agreement कर रहे हो, if you're not thinking about growing that business, then it will fail. अगर आप अपने partner सोचते हैं मेरा क्या growth होगा, then this business will fail. You create a structure where this business has to grow, and you create transparency. So we have 2 Japanese joint ventures and one with the government of India has a company called Concor. We have a joint venture there and we're in the exploration stage for a few more. But on the cold chain side, we then started investing very rapidly, as what you said, and started growing the business. And now that business is in the top 6 in the country. By next year, we should be in the top 3.
And it is by the function of the values and the execution that you reach, or there's always a target that, whatever we enter into, we must be in top 3, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
That's one.
Okay.
But top 3 gives us the advantage of creating value for our customers. It also gives us scale because...
And a preferred choice.
Customer today a large customer doesn't want to work in one place. जैसे कि मेरे को कैलकाटा में भी चाहिए, बॉम्बे में चाहिए, बैंगलोर में भी चाहिए. That means you need to have a pan-India network, which means you need to invest into that business a lot more. So ideally we would like to be in the top 3 and then I think being admired and having that principle that that we are a trusted partner is number 1. Then you have the goals of revenue or profitability along with each other.
Understood. So, itne lambe relationship with clients, it's very hard to have somebody continue to believe. Things go wrong. I'm sure COVID was a massive disruption.
Yeah.
So how do you go back and, continue to have them believe in you, have faith in you? I'm sure you delivered, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who are trying to break into your clients.
Yeah,
you work with TCI, we have this offer, we can do this, we can give you better rates, we can better efficiency. So what is that glue that keeps the relationships with your clients?
Transparency. I can share one incident where we overcharged a customer by a lot.
Okay.
By a lot.
Like some technical error or?
No, but we just made an insane amount of profit there. We went and gave them back some money.
Really?
Yeah. We said, look, this is a mistake we made.
That we priced it high, you paid us,
Yes.
but we feel that this is not right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's transparency, the conviction that we are honest people, we are not going to cheat you. The fact that, of course, being a listed company and having a very strong board of directors always helps. But a principle है, today a TCI boy in a small city anywhere in the country is well dressed. Matlab, he will have a TCI shirt, his hair will be combed, he will be shaved, he will not be wearing chappals, he will be wearing shoes, shirt is tucked in. He will go into, agar aapka factory hai, you're doing 50 crore, 100 crore, 200 crore, the TCI guy will, aap jaiye andar.
Nobody will stop.
Nobody stops him because they know that he's a trusted guy. So that trust goes all the way down. I cannot go and say that, to a customer and say, look, please trust me and we'll do business with you. It goes all the way down and then it percolates up, upar aate rehta hai. And then we see that we've had relationships of 40, 50 years with customers. The first person I met was, when I started my career, met one of the customers. I took blessings from him, the senior manager there, the MD of that company. I said, "Aap log ne sikhaya, I want to come to you first." So that culture of transparency with customers and going for providing them value-added services, telling them that, look, we will solve your problem. First question I ask them, please tell me what's your problem. How can we solve it? And many times some customers will use us negatively. ठीक है. Again, you have a trust factor.
Yeah.
If you believe that you can trust most people, that's how you grow your conviction with the customers also.
And when you flip that back on, inside, when you talk about trusting employees, management and everyone, more often than not, when I speak with entrepreneurs who are trying to build businesses, so they invest a lot in bringing a talent in. And once they bring in the talent is not firing as expected or anticipated. But since they had invested so much time, and the fear is that, I expected the person to deliver 90, 100% and is kicking at 60%, chalo utna to kar raha hai. I'm okay with this mediocrity for the time being. अच्छा कोई मिलेगा तो बदल देंगे. So what is your view on, dealing with sub-performing or mediocre talent? I know there are training intervention, but if the leader is lad, so how have you dealt with those situations?
We have, again, it's very, and the negative part of in a family culture is that you can't fire a family person.
Yeah.
Right. But we do.
Okay.
We have a rating system and you get peer rated as well as we have 360-degree appraisals also.
Yeah.
And otherwise also your performance is measured across the board. What we see is that firstly we are anyways recruiting from within the company.
Yeah.
So if 95% of the people are coming, we know those people. The people who are going up are people who we know very well. There are few people who are coming in that position who are not either coming from outside or they've come to that position लेकिन वो perform नहीं कर पा रहे. We'll find we'll give one or two instances of interventions and उसके बाद अगर नहीं चलता है तो we will move the person out. We can put them into many other roles. Fortunately, we have many other roles.
Right.
Or we will exit the person. That's not a problem also. But it is as a leader, as a head of your organization, you need to know who's doing what in terms of who's performing and not performing, and simultaneously you have to give that feedback. That look, you're not happy with this. You can't be keeping it in the back of your mind and saying that नहीं अच्छा देखते हैं नहीं. आप feedback नहीं दोगे और वो culture बनाना पड़ेगा feedback का कि I can give the feedback but मुझे भी feedback मिलेगा. So I ask my colleagues also, tell me what I should change. It can't work one way only.
Correct.
And then you have to execute on that. On that, I got a lot of feedback in the past. I should be doing this. I should not be doing this. So I've changed. Similarly, I've given the feedback to my colleagues. तो थोड़ा सा the belief system has to work both ways.
So Vineet in 90s and Vineet in 2020s, how much difference?
Well, I'm on the back of the same weight.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good, yes. More gray hair.
Of course.
No, but I think I have not changed as a person.
Okay.
I don't think my value system has deterred in any way.
And did they sort of was sown within your family, looking at your father, having spent a little time with your grandfather? So where are the foundational elements coming from in Vineet today? What do you rely back on?
Humility is very big. I think the fact that
I can vouch for personally also, but yes.
We do not believe in ज़्यादा शो करना है, ज़्यादा display of whatever you have or even who you are. Be under the radar as much as possible. That is a family value that has come from the beginning.
Okay.
That's very important. Care for people, it's very large. Whether it is personal care or whether it is really doing something more, we have a large foundation. We do a lot of work in their activities. We do, and that I'm very fortunate to think that my kids also have it.
Yeah.
My kids, both my boys, have started waste management NGO, which has grown quite a lot, and they have that empathetic framework.
That streak in them.
That streak in them from what my grandfather, when he made some money in 1958, उन्होंने वो पहला चीज़ वो पैसे से गांव जा करके जहाँ से उन्होंने छोड़ा था, he went and started social work there. In like within 10 years of him getting some money, literally, he had to give back.
He had to go back and give back to.
And that has kept on in our family. And I think just we as a family are very fond of simple things. Whether it is going to nature, whether it is being part of nature as much as possible, home food, and just being normal citizens. Very patriotic also.
And how has been the role of the women in the family? So how your family, you yourself, and your children, fall back upon them and their strengths. So what role have they played? Of course, the women has always played a nurturing role.
Yeah.
But in the business, in the society, do you see that role?
Which Indian family can we say that does not play? Any woman does not play a role. It's perpetual. I still remember my grandfather. स्कूल जा रहे हो तो दूध पी के जाओ, या डिनर्स पे बैठे हैं, what force feeding you food. My mother force feeding food. नहीं ये हलवा तो खाना ही पड़ेगा, वेट को मत देखो. I think ये सब चीज़, these are natural things. My mother started her own business almost I would say 35 years ago. She does garment exports to Europe. And she still goes and travels to Europe, meets her clients, and sells those clothes. Very powerful in terms of her as a pillar. My wife is a huge pillar to our kids. And so I think women do role आप कभी भी diminish नहीं कर सकते हो. चाहे वो primary role है या secondary role है, it can never diminish. As a family, you have to believe that it is an integral part. Otherwise, you come with a very different view of life. And that view of life starts reflecting also on your business, on the way that you are running as an entrepreneur. वो change आपके पर एक अलग type, you become very robotic sometimes.
Yeah, very mechanical.
Very mechanical. वो नहीं होना चाहिए. Because especially in our business, which is more people oriented,
correct,
service oriented, you have to have that emotional connect. And emotional connect comes through the fact that the women are also engaged.
So because you feel a lot of empathy at home, and that sort of translates in your businesses.
Absolutely, yes.
But you've built large business and multiple businesses. That takes a lot of time. So how do you balance, and a lot of entrepreneurs, really struggle with how to balance, the business life and the personal life. When I say personal, I'm talking about family. But then there is also a third dimension, which is me, which is me myself. If I'm not at peace, if I'm not healthy, if I am not growing, I can't support business and I can't even support my family. Leave aside, doing anything else.
Yes.
So this three-dimensional journey, how has that been for you?
It's obviously at every stage of life you have to keep evolving, and that evolution. Firstly, I think I'm very blessed that we have a fantastic team. So the team is they take up a lot of the direct engagement that I had used to do, and that now with, of course, professionalizing in the last 2-3 decades has certainly helped a lot. But simultaneously, personally, I think there are several things that have helped me. Like I joined an organization called YPO, Young Presidents, when I was in the 30s. That helped me to really prioritize and strategize as to how can I not just do work in that organization. How can I ensure my business is running successfully? How can I ensure my family is healthy and also happy? And how am I healthy and happy? So that organizations like that, networks like that, definitely helps. I would encourage entrepreneurs to keep thinking about it, even though if you don't have time, and especially when you don't have time.
Yeah, and the reason why you don't have time, because there hasn't been many peer interactions of evolved people who have solved that problem, learn from them.
Correct, exactly. So when you don't have time, that is the most important time to engage even more. And then you set up some self goals. Like, I have a goal that I will meditate 125 days in a year for minimum 10 days, 10 minutes a day. Or I have a goal of that 200 days in a year, I will exercise of minimum 30 minutes.
And you track it?
Yes, I track it. I have like metrics. I have my weight metrics. I have my every day, every time I worked out, what I worked out. Then I have a metric that I want, or rather a goal that I want to go for 2 holidays in a year. So like this, these are things that, or I have a goal, I want to attend 2 musical concerts. So कुछ goals, personal goals भी डालना पड़ेगा. I have a goal to read.
While you have all your business goals and revenue goals and admiration goals, but there has to be a family and a personal goal also.
20 books a year. I will read.
Okay.
So I think जब तक आप एक step back लेकर के internalize नहीं करोगे, till you don't build your self awareness, you cannot be aware of what you are going to be doing in the workplace.
So in your experience, what are those top 3 qualities that a successful entrepreneur should have, and can't, I would not say can't build big businesses, but can't have a reasonable success. I mean, everybody comes with a different approach and industry and opportunity, but what are those top 3 that you personally feel it's a no negotiation, these are the skills that you must have?
Discipline is number 1.
Number 1.
You have to have discipline in what you're doing, whether you're in your personal life or in the workplace. And that discipline reflects into a lot of other areas of what if there is a meeting at a specific time, at a specific day, you have to be there. Irrespective whether you've had a late night or whether you've not slept all night, doesn't matter.
It's the commitment discipline also.
It's the commitment. So like we have multiple divisions, multiple companies.
Yeah.
We'll have, day in, day out of such meetings.
Yeah.
Of strategy meetings or review meetings or whatever. I'm there every time. So discipline comes from every aspect. I decided to run a full marathon one year, which meant that I had to wake up at 5 in the morning to go running before I could go to work. So I would be running for 2 to 3 hours in the morning and then going to work. But then I have to be at work also. So discipline is critical. Trust, what I talked about, whether you're within, trust your family, most importantly, but trust everyone as part of that extended family, which is your colleagues at work. And you empower them, give them that responsibility.
Right.
And third is a learning mindset. If you don't keep changing yourself, then you are just moving very robotically. You're not thinking about future. So like if I wanted to learn about AI, I have to make a concentrated effort to learn about AI. It's not my direct business. I have to do it. Or if I want to learn about some other subject, I have to do it. So you have to make a real effort at a personal level and inculcate that effort of learning mindset with everyone else also. Because without that, you cannot change. There was a saying that there are people who see, there are people who don't see, and there are people who foresee. You can only foresee what's happening if you keep changing yourself.
So what you foresee in a way you're saying is actually what you have learnt and seen, and you're just connecting dots.
Exactly.
And if you've not learnt and seen, or you don't continue to learn,
you're just seeing.
You can never foresee, you'll only see. That is a very, very interesting way of putting it. And if you were to start this journey again, let's say the awareness that you have today, what would you have changed in your journey? Like, or accelerated or slowed? What would those things be?
Perhaps I would have taken a little bit more risk.
You would have taken more risk.
But I think I'm going on the basis of now hindsight.
Yeah.
So hindsight doesn't work, Now I'm more comfortable, so I'm saying that I could have taken risk. At that time, probably I was.
But would you take more risk going forward?
Yes, I mean we are taking a lot more risks. So maybe that was one. I think, but I would not. Otherwise, I think I don't have any regrets.
Okay.
So personally or professionally, we don't have any regrets. Again, we might not have been the first entrant, but we still start to dominate that business because of all the things that we do right and sometimes wrong. But I cannot be sitting and saying that, okay, we should have kept doing this. Yeah. We have to keep moving on.
And, you guys have always been in logistics, and why would you get into real estate? It's a different league.
We're not doing much real estate. It's just warehousing.
Just warehousing. There's no residential,
nothing.
Commercial properties coming out.
No, nothing like that.
Are there any plans?
No, none whatsoever. It
has to be aligned with
our business. Nothing else which is, mother does something which is very different. And
yeah, of course, yes.
But she runs it herself. Yeah. I mean, neither my father and I ever go there to talk to her about the business. And she tells us, you should please come. But otherwise, we don't do any other business that's not connected to logistics. Because there's so much scope, so much growth opportunities.
And, you are one of the most respected, reputed families in the industrial circuit of India. And it also brings a lot of responsibility on the shoulders for the, on the patriarch and the newer generation. So what has been the philosophy around succession? Because that is where, most people tend to not touch that topic. It's a very sensitive topic, and nobody wants to, I would say bell the cat, but it has to be belled because, that's how life is. And sometimes you have to move away to really see that, did you build the right thing or not? So what are your views on succession, and how have you personally, your family experienced that? Because I think you are the third generation now.
That's right. So between my father and his brothers were running the conglomerate at that point in time after my grandfather passed away for about 10 years. They decided to split up then.
Okay.
And then my father got one part of the business, which is a larger part of the business. Mm-hmm. And at that time, he borrowed money at 35%, also to pay off all the other.
At 35%?
Yeah, in the 90s, to really pay off all our debts. It was a very, very tough time at that point, but I had also just joined the business. So I think succession was quite natural and normal there. From my grandfather to my father, and then splitting up, and then him running one faction of the business. So I joined the business in '96, and then my brother joined the business in 2002, I think 1 or 2. I have a younger brother only, so there's just 3 of us who've been in part of the business. And I think my due credit to my father, he's always given me the forefront to say, you take up these challenges, you take up the responsibility as well. So if the joint venture was formed with the Japanese company, not only did I negotiate, but I also became the chairman of that company. Similarly, all the joint ventures that were formed, I became the chairman of those companies. So in that sense, the indication towards succession is very clear cut. Now in the next generation, from myself to my kids, I've left it open to them. They're still young. The topic is always open in terms of discussion. I tell them, look, if you want to join the business, there's always space for you. If you want to do something else, there's also space for that. The business is quite professional now. In the last 30 years, we have changed very dramatically. So it can run by itself. That's not a problem. But what do my kids want to do? They are extremely passionate about the environment. They really want to change the world when it comes to doing that. I think that's a far bigger goal than running a company.
True.
So if they want to pursue that and they want to do that, I'm fully supportive of it.
And if it was not logistic, then what would have it been? You educated yourself in the US, some of the top universities in the world. Great exposure, great education. Was there a?
I don't think there was anything else.
Always
Logistics. Always. I mean, as kids, when we used to go for holidays, when I was a kid, we used to stop at all the branches on the way.
Oh, really?
So if you're going from, we did this trip in Rajasthan. We started from Delhi, Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur, all our Bikaner, all our branches.
Right.
So as kids also, this was just in our blood.
And, if there is a message that you want to give to people of Bharat who always have a lot of guards up for them, very restrictive thought process that this is not for us, ये तो बड़े शहर के लोगों का business बनाने का सिर्फ उन्हीं को आता है. तो what message would you want to leave for them that can transform their thought process?
सबसे पहले तो एक कन्विक्शन होना चाहिए कि मैं कुछ भी कर रहा हूँ उसमें आई कैन मेक अ डिफरेंस, दैट वट एवर आई एम डूइंग. एंड देन मैं जो कुछ कर रहा हूँ मैं सच्चे दिल से कर रहा हूँ. आई एम डूइंग इट विद द राइट हार्ट, विद द राइट एफर्ट. Then I'm also doing the business to really at some point in time, at smallest to smallest level, it is helping in nation building. That कहीं ना कहीं ये देश के लिए काम में आ रहा है. कुछ भी मैं छोटा से छोटा काम कर रहा हूँ. Martin Luther King said that if I can't do great things, can I do small things in a great way? तो कुछ ना कुछ हम करते रहे और जैसे जैसे ये सब चीज़ अगर सही दिल से हम करेंगे, आई एम वेरी श्योर यू कैन मेक अ डिफरेंस. यू कैन ब्रेक दैट बैरियर वेर एवर यू आर. आई मीन, वी हैव पीपल इन आवर कंपनी, दे हैव कम फ्रॉम विलेजेस who have gone and become CEOs of the company, of their divisions. So I can see that happen. I can see that people are making changes. There are hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs that have come up in the country.
Right.
I think this Bharat and India is no longer Bharat and India anymore. We are getting very closely aligned. It is one. And growth prospects in the next 15-20 years is phenomenal. So I am very optimistic, very hopeful that the youth चाहे वो गांव से है, चाहे छोटे शहर से है, चाहे बड़े शहर से है, they have to have the right mindset. और आपके पास वो right mindset है, you can do anything.
Fantastic. So thank you so much, Vineet.
Thank you.
For spending so much time with us and sharing your journey and inspiring the youth of this country. Thank you so much.